Hello, and welcome to Own Your Retirement. My name is Albert Lalonde from Kaizen Financial Group. If you'd like more information about what you hear during our show today, give us a call at 586-752-7008 or visit us online at www.kaizenfinancialgroup.com. It's Kaizen Kaizen. And while at my website, click on the podcast page to check out our past shows and also to subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music. All right. I was on my laptop going through the financial news recently and I spotted a USA Today article, or I should say a headline that stopped me pretty much dead in my tracks. The title: What Do Working Americans Fear More Than Death? Retirement. Now, if the primary purpose of a headline is to capture your attention, whoever came up with that one, well, deserves a raise, in my opinion. Now, what did you think when you heard it? Did you say, oh, come on? Or did you say, yeah, sounds about right? Well, during today's show, we're going to discuss the idea of fearing retirement and some of the moves you can make to hopefully help nip that fear in the bud. But before I try and calm your retirement fears, let me introduce my co host, Tony Shore, who is afraid of nothing, just like his Vikings. Hey, Tony, how we doing, buddy?
Yeah, the Lions and the Vikings are going to meet this weekend.
Yes.
I am a little afraid of this game. Speaking of fears, I think this is going to be the biggest challenge the Vikings have faced because I'll tell you what, your Lions look so good. I mean, even
Yes.
with the injury on defense, you guys, I think you're the toughest team we're going to play this year, and we'll see how it goes. I think this is the
Twice.
true test. Yeah, yeah, twice. Twice, exactly. So, got that to look forward to. But the Lions look great.
Yes.
I have to admit they look fantastic. So I've been good. Obviously, kind of a scary show you've got lined up
Yes.
for us today. I am afraid. What do I fear more than death itself? Running out of pizza would be
There,
my answer.
there you go.
Um, right, right. But it's kind of a Halloween episode, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think uh, we're gonna, we've got some Halloween sounds to
There we
play
go. I
for
love
the,
it. I love it.
yeah, for the kids. It is October, right?
Yes.
I don't think you can get through Halloween without the Monster Mash,
There.
right?
Love the
I
monster
was working
mash.
in the lab late one night.
Right?
I love it. I love it.
There you go. But seriously, this topic, it's crazy that in a survey, more Americans fear retirement than death. That just,
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
that's crazy. So, where do you want to begin this topic?
Well, let's dive right into it, Tony. The article cites, in fact, a June 2024 survey conducted by Live Career that found that 61% of working Americans are more fearful of retirement than they are of dying. And
Wow.
it's not the only incredible stat from the survey. Here's another one. 64% of respondents reported feeling more afraid of retirement than divorce, Tony. I mean, how crazy is that? Or how about these? 54% say they fear retirement more than getting fired, and 53% reporting fearing retirement more than they fear poor health. Now, while both those statistics are eye popping, they also align well with some similar facts and stats we've shared during previous shows. For example, the article points to another survey, this one conducted by the AARP in January of 2024, that found that roughly 20% of Americans who are 50 and older have no retirement savings. Furthermore, Tony, 61% of survey takers said they're worried they won't have enough money to see them through retirement.
Yikes. That's not good. I mean, and we've talked about retirement savings before on the show, Albert,
Hmm.
and or the lack thereof, right? That people
Yes,
have.
yes.
But whenever you share statistics like this, that 20% of people 50 and older don't have any retirement savings. That really, that's what frightens me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's and obviously you're looking at not in the beginning. It's more about getting through retirement, those that don't plan and how it ends up later, 10 years in and things like that. And there's a National Council of Aging that predicts that 78 million Americans will be 65 and older by 2040. And interestingly, the average American's fears about retirement are about more than just money, though. In the article of Psychology Today titled Three Common Fears About Retirement, found that many aging Americans are worried about actually losing their identity once they're out of the workforce.
Hmm.
And according to the University of Arizona's article, How Retirees Can Fight Anxiety and Stay Healthy, many soon to be retirees are concerned about developing health problems that they may make it impossible for them to live independently. And as I've learned throughout my career, money is probably the most important part of your retirement strategy, but it's certainly not the only part. And that's what this article is stressing.
Yeah, but Albert, sticking to the dollars and cents of retirement, what do you think about the kind of money we'll need in our post-work lives? What about
Oh,
that?
yeah, that's a great question. Well, according to a survey ran by USA Today, they conducted about how much money Americans will need saved for retirement. Well, 4% of respondents said they'll need more than $1 million saved for retirement. The bulk of the respondents anticipating needing retirement savings ranging between $100,000 and $1 million. Now, 6% of respondents noted they'll need less than $100,000 saved. Now, interestingly, the article also notes that Americans are 15 times more likely to have money saved for retirement if they have access to a plan through their employer. Unfortunately, though, only about half of Americans have access to such a plan here.
That surprises me, Albert. I mean, maybe it's the jobs I've had, but I've always had
Yeah.
access to 401ks or 403bs or 450. I mean, employer sponsored retirement accounts are I thought more of the norm. I'm surprised that almost half the country doesn't have access to an employer sponsored plan. That's not good. I guess consultants, the gig economy, they have to set things up on their own. And
Yeah.
again, you probably have some clients that
Hmm.
maybe they're small business owners, so they have to set up their own
Sure.
retirement accounts, right?
And you also have to look. A lot of the workers are in service sectors. Waiters and service, and a lot of them don't have a 401k through their
Yeah.
work.
That's true.
So,
So you gave some numbers there, Albert, about what
mhm.
people think they need.
Yep.
Oh, everybody says I'm going to need, I probably would need like $1 million saved to retire comfortably. But is there any data out there on how much they've actually saved?
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. Let's go back to the USA Today survey. In fact, just 1% of respondents reported having no savings at all. And then while 2% reported having more than $1 million saved, and then the majority of respondents had between $10,000 and $500, $500,000 saved. So
Sure.
according to the US Department of Labor, the typical American will have a retirement that lasts 20 years, but only about half of Americans have actually determined how much they'll need to maintain their current lifestyle during that retirement.
Wow. And we're not even talking about having the money. We're talking about just the knowledge of what they'll need. And
Mhm.
that's where you come in. So
Right.
only half of Americans out there know actually how much money they'll need saved for their ideal retirement. They throw out numbers of what they think, but less than half know. So if our listeners are in that camp and you don't know the actual number and have a plan in place, you've got to start working with a trusted financial professional, right?
Oh, I agree 100%. In fact, the same article details some of the factors that are making so many people fearful of retirement. In fact, in a multiple question USA Today survey, nearly 60% of respondents cited the rising cost of healthcare as one of the biggest reasons they're apprehensive about retirement. And just more than half listed poor investment decisions and the loss of assets. And then other reasons include worrying about feeling disconnected from society after leaving work, or apprehensions about adapting to a new lifestyle and maintaining, let's say, a preferred standard of living. And then ultimately, Tony, feeling worried about retirement, well, it's normal. But you shouldn't fear retirement more than you fear death. I mean, crafting an appropriate financial strategy, a written plan, and then sticking to that strategy may help position you to enjoy the retirement you've always wanted. So basically, what we tell everybody, especially my clients, know your numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to know your numbers. That's the thing. And I think one of the things you have to do, and whether it's you, Albert, or somebody else, our listeners out there need to be working with a financial professional who you can trust, a fiduciary who's going to look out for your best interests. And it's so important. So, Albert, how can our listeners out there get a hold of you to get a
Yeah.
second opinion? Or I know you're offering a no charge, no obligation consultation. There are no strings. They can sit down with you, chat, see if you might be able to help them in their situation. And maybe you can, and maybe they're in a situation that's fine, or you're not what they're looking for, or don't fit what you do. But that conversation and getting a plan in place is huge, isn't it?
It is. And if you would like to learn more, please reach out, call us at 586-752-7008, or visit us online at www.kaizenfinancialgroup.com. That's Kaizen, Kaizen, and see how you can get a complimentary full-fledged financial plan so you can know your numbers and rest some of those worries and concerns by actually putting the work in.
Yeah, so to get a plan in place and set up that no charge, no obligation consultation, give Albert and his team a call at Kaizen Financial. It's 586-752-7008. Now, we've been talking about the fact that a lot of Americans out there, Albert, are fearful of retirement, or fear retirement more than they do death itself. So,
Right.
because of a lack of savings, the rising
Hmm.
costs of healthcare, and the possibility of not being able to maintain their current standard of living in retirement. What's next on the agenda?
Well, in our first segment, as you said, we've discussed why so many people are worried about the retirement. Now, let's spend some time on the rest of the show highlighting steps you can take to help calm your nerves and look ahead to retirement with the excitement that it deserves. So
Yes,
let's
let's
go
be on the
to
positive side here,
right,
and
right.
some solutions, right?
You got it. So let's go to an AARP article titled 10 Steps to Take as You Get Ready to Retire. In fact, this article has some insights that I'm excited to share. So let's begin with step one is to sit down with your financial service professional to clearly define what you want your retirement to look like. Now, while you've probably run through ideas for retirement in your mind, especially on one of those hectic work days, this is your opportunity to actually formalize your thoughts into an actionable plan and put it down on paper. For example, if you intend to travel, let's say, often during retirement, don't just loosely write down the word travel. Instead, spell out the 3 or 4 places that you're most eager to visit. This will make budgeting for those trips much easier. Also, don't get too broad with your list. Keep it to roughly, let's say, a half a dozen key elements that the way you have a manageable set of, let's say, tangible goals. Now, I think it's important to also brainstorm with your financial service professional so they can serve as a voice of reason and maybe also to make sure your finances and goals align together.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, and you talked about, sitting down to clearly identify your ideal retirement in concrete terms. And that may sound simple, perhaps overly simple, but as you've mentioned many times, Albert, it's often the simplest financial steps that end up being the most powerful, right?
It is. It definitely is. Now, the next thing you want to do is, move is to fully assess your current assets. Now, you likely know how much money or how much income you bring in every month, how much you have saved, and how much you have in your retirement accounts and other investment accounts. But do you completely understand what the combination of all those mean for your retirement? Well, the account will provide the kind of income you need to preserve your current lifestyle during retirement. And you should consider thinking even broader than the assets I just mentioned. In fact, the article notes that it's also important to thoroughly review what is called your non traditional assets. Perhaps you've long collected and restored antiques, or maybe you've have an accomplished short story writer or a painter. Remember, those are assets. Selling some of those restored antiques or getting a few stories published each year could provide you with what my grandpa called running around money.
Yeah.
Okay. See, not running out of money, running around money, or money that you could use for dinners out with friends, trips to, let's say, the movie theaters, or even the occasional weekend road trip. Now, it doesn't take a great deal of extra income during retirement to actually give your lifestyle that nice boost, Tony.
Yeah, that's a good point. And so maybe if my golden voice and well-timed wit
Yes.
holds out, it might be an asset that could put a few bucks in my pocket even after
Heck yeah, my man.
I've retired, right?
Yes, you should be hosting a lot of, annual shows and stuff because you have
Yeah.
that voice for it, buddy. Now, let's go to step number three, and that's to immediately evaluate your health. Now, I believe it's one of the shrewdest pre-retirement financial moves you can make. But to get the most out of life during retirement, well, I feel good health is obviously essential, and a little preventative medical care before your retirement, well, it can be a big help. Now, arrange for checkups and preventative exams in the months before you retire, whether it's your annual checkup or having your teeth cleaned. While at those appointments, talk to your provider about steps you can begin taking now to try and maintain your health as much as possible, both right now and during retirement. And then also be sure you're eating well, exercising regularly and getting plenty of sleep. Right now, you may be saying, well, this is a financial show. Stop telling me what to eat. But I think the more seriously you take your health maintenance, the more of your money will actually stay in your bank account.
Yeah, and I mean, you've brought up maintaining your health on past shows and talking about staying fit, and I
Hmm.
didn't in the beginning. I didn't understand what health had to do with finances, but then the light bulb went off. The more we prioritize our health, the less we have to take out of our nest egg. And so,
Yeah.
I don't like these shows where you tell me I actually have to exercise and eat well, but we know we should do that, and it can save us a lot of money in
Yes.
retirement. Yeah,
Yes, and Tony, remember, exercise doesn't mean, oh my gosh, go to the gym at 4 in the morning. It can be taking a walk with your loved ones every afternoon or evening, taking a walk with your dog just to being
sure.
active. And then also eating. You can still have those occasional pizzas, just
Yeah,
moderation, right?
yeah. Everything in moderation,
Yeah.
especially pizza.
Yes. Now, the next step is to work with your financial service professional. Update your budget to prepare yourself and your money for retirement. Your budget should contain three key elements, folks. One, how much money you have coming in. Two, how much money it'll take to reach the goals that we've discussed just a few minutes ago in step one. And then lastly, how much debt you have. So, beginning by tracking your income and expenses for a few months, from there, determine how much money you'll need to maintain your current or preferred lifestyle during retirement, and then be certain that your budget will provide enough flexibility to pay your various debts. And then you also want to discuss your investments with your financial service professional. Are you properly diversified? How much are you paying in fees? And then finally, the article notes that many people can anticipate needing about 80% of their working income during retirement to maintain their lifestyles. Now, Don't forget that Social Security will generally only replace about 40% of what you made while on the job. So you'll need to have some tools in place to account for the other 40%.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Now, we've been talking about steps that you need to take
Hmm.
so you don't have to fear retirement, right? You don't
Yep.
want to be afraid of retirement. What's next?
Well, let's go back to stay with that 10 steps to take as you get ready to retire from AARP. Basically, for let's say countless soon to be retirees, this is perhaps the single most important piece of the retirement preparation. About 1 in 3 Americans who are 65 or older rely on Social Security for as much as 75% of their income, according to a 2021 Social Security Administration improving the measurement retirement income of the age population study. I know that was a long title, but that was what the study showed was called. Well, the age at which you file will have a direct impact on how much you'll receive each month throughout your retirement. The longer you delay filing for Social Security up to age 70, the larger your monthly payments will be. Just how much bigger, though? Well, you don't qualify for 100% of your benefit calculated using your lifetime earnings history until you hit your full retirement age, which is presently between 66 and 67. Now, depending on the year you were born. Now, if you file before full retirement age, whether at 62, the earliest time possible, or a date closer to your full retirement age, you'll receive between 70% and 99% of your benefit. If you work past your full retirement age, you'll earn delayed retirement credits, which increases the size of your monthly payments until you turn 70, at which point there's no longer a financial incentive to keep delaying past that age.
Yeah. If you hit your full retirement age and you're in good health and find that you still enjoy your job, there's certainly a good economic reason there to stay on the job then.
Oh, big time, big time. I would agree with that. All right. Now, the next step you should consider is, well, ways to reduce your expenses before retirement and start saving right now, whether your retirement is on the near horizon or maybe still many years down the road. In fact, it may be a good idea to look at your current bills to identify ways, you may be able to ease up a bit on your spending. Maybe it's cutting back from 8 streaming services to 4, or maybe it's dining out twice a week rather than 4 days a week. And then thankfully, there are a lot of ways you may be able to reduce your spending a bit without harming your overall quality of life. Relatedly, it's important to not neglect attacking your debt. Reducing as much debt as possible before you retire means you'll have fewer financial hurdles. And then you may want to consider paying off your smallest debt sources first, no matter their interest rate. Then, once those are paid off, you'll not only have a sense of accomplishment, but then you can now dedicate that money to paying off your bigger, higher interest debt sources.
Yeah, and that's important too. Heading into retirement with little or no debt would definitely be something we're celebrating, right?
Correct, correct. Now, before you retire, we believe it's important to plan for unexpected expenses. Washing machines don't stop breaking and cars don't stop needing new tires just because you've
Right.
retired. You must be ready for those expenses. Finally, when considering all these pieces of your plan, I feel that perhaps the single best thing you can do is simply stick to that plan. If you trim down your expenses a bit to help stabilize retirement, don't let yourself slowly slip back into that spending habit you had while you were still on the job. Most of us are creatures of habit, and ditching old habits for new ones can take time, but consider sticking to it. And even in retirement, it's important to keep working with your financial service professional. In addition to your regular check ins, reach out to them whenever you have a question or a concern, or if you're going to purchase a big ticket item. That's what they're there for.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. Well, this has been a great discussion. We're almost out of time, Albert. Is there anything else you want to add for our listeners before we go today?
Yeah, listeners, you can visit my website if you have more concerns and questions at www.kaizenfinancialgroup.com, or call my office at 586 752-7008 to discuss how we can answer your questions about your retirement worries, your broader retirement goals, or any other elements of your financial strategy. Remember, it's our goal to help prepare for your retirement you've worked so hard for so you can own your retirement.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Albert. And listeners, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of Own Your Retirement with our host, Albert Lalonde.
Take care, everybody. All right.